everyone. My name's Judd Marcello, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer for FarEye. Welcome to Special Delivery from FarEye. This is a monthly show. We come to you, we talk about what we're hearing in the market about deliveries, the evolution of deliveries, how people are thinking about the logistics of deliveries, anything to do with deliveries. We're here to talk to you about it. Now, this show is recorded live on LinkedIn, the last Thursday of every month. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you've been here before, we're glad to have you back. And if you know anybody that might want to attend, tell them to come in the future, last Thursday of every month. All right, now, for those of you that are unaware of FarEye, FarEye is a delivery logistics platform. We're a SaaS company, and we focus on the last mile in the delivery journey. And we've been around for about 8 years. We're helping customers around the globe from a retail perspective, a logistics perspective, an e-commerce perspective. We're helping them create satisfied customers through better deliveries. And what we like to say here is that deliveries can be your competitive advantage, but deliveries are hard and they're complicated, and they're becoming more prominent in what we do based on the proliferation of like e-commerce in the industry. And, we're always talking about deliveries, but one thing we're talking about now more than ever is what this episode is about, and that's returns. It's already the end of September. Today's September 29th, right? Last time I checked the calendar. The years keep flying by. We know this. Like every year, I think I say this. I can't believe it's already September or October. I can't believe it's already December. At this time of year, what most of us in the business world are thinking about, specifically retailers, is the holiday season, right? Holiday season is a great time for spending time with loved ones, right? Celebrating another year gone by, reflecting on another year gone by. And then it's also about shopping. Right? This is the time of year that people are thinking about shopping and spending money and getting into stores. And if you're a retailer, this year more than any, you know that this is a make or break season for you, but this year from a sales perspective, but this year more than any, what you're really thinking about is returns, okay? It's so crazy to think about. When we think about delivering a product, we think like the delivery experience ends when something lands on somebody's doorstep and they get the product that they wanted, that they ordered online, that they expected to be delivered in 1 day or 20 minutes. And it lands there and you think, job done. No longer is that the case, because retailers have made it easier than ever to order online. The experience is great now. It's about convenience. It's about satisfying, like increasing expectations of consumers. And consumers just feel like, hey, you know what? If I want something, I'm going to be able to get it. I'm going to be able to get it like that, delivered to my doorstep. So what's changed is that when people think that they can get whatever they want, they order whatever they want, and they're not afraid of the idea of returning whatever it is that they wanted. And so it's becoming a bigger part of the experience. And the job is not done once something lands on the doorstep. And retailers have to be thinking about the return experience as part of the overall delivery and customer experience. And, what's happening is retailers are now having to think about returns as part of a larger part of their program. So, what we're going to do today is we got quite an agenda today. We're going to talk about the headlines. We're going to rip some stories from the headlines for you, specifically about returns. And then we're going to bring on our VP of product at FarEye, Stephane Gagne. Stefan's going to come and talk about returns. He's got a unique point of view as somebody who used to work on the buy side, and this was a day-to-day priority for him as somebody who was reaching out to customers. Now that he works on our side and the technology side, he's going to give you the best of both worlds, a perception of best of both worlds. And then we're going to deliver the last word on last mile today. All right, but let's go to those headlines. Now, the first one I want to talk about comes from Walmart, okay? Walmart, hey, these guys know what they're doing when it comes to retail, right? So Walmart is definitely gearing up for the holiday season right now. I think they're adding upwards of 40,000 jobs. And a chunk of those jobs are really geared towards the returns process. What's interesting, what they've done this year already is, well, first of all, they're anticipating like what's going on in the world right now. Like, there's economic doubt, okay? There's still issues with supply chain globally. There are global geopolitical events, right? There's inventory gluts. Like getting products into the stores and getting products into consumers' hands, we're still having problems with that. So they're thinking ahead of time. What they're really thinking about is the consumer's wallet. They know that there's the wallets are smaller this time of year, and they want to get into those wallets early, and they want to get into those wallets often. So what they've done now is they've said, hey, we're going to extend our returns period from October 1 through January 31st. That's they're extending it 1 month longer than they normally do. They normally start a returns period in November. And what they're signaling to consumers is, you can shop with us with confidence. They're encouraging people to think about returns as part of their shopping process. And not only that, they've also now introduced curbside returns, or a returns program where they will come to your house and pick up your product for you. So retailers are thinking about how returns can be a competitive advantage, how they can get buyers motivated to buy product from them, knowing that returns are going to be a seamless process for them. Okay, so you can see how retailers are shifting their perspective. Let's go to the next headline. All right, the next headline is about reverse logistics. Okay, reverse logistics sounds like a fancy name for returns, and it really is, but it highlights an important point, right, for retailers. Returns require a sophisticated logistics process, right? It requires just as much efficiency as the deliveries themselves. Now, returns can create high costs for companies as well. And so we have to be thinking as retailers, like, how do I already minimize the economic impact of returns on my business? Now, I got a couple stats here. So according to this article that we're showing on the screen, the rate of returns on a given product ranges from 26 to 47%, right? And in 2001, at the end of 2001, the cost of handling all those returns rose 60%. Returns are more frequent. The cost of returns is growing higher, right? So now the other crazy thing that retailers are doing to kind of preempt this challenge with returns when it comes to the financial side is they've created something called the no return return. So Walmart, Target, US home DIY retailer Lowe's, they've all introduced the no returns return. What that means is when a consumer says, hey, I need to return a product I bought, the retailer is saying, okay, great, we're going to refund you, but don't give us the product back. It's too expensive for us to take the product back, so you keep it. You keep the product. We don't even want the return. So just think about that. They're giving up taking the product back and then being able to resell that, because the cost of doing so is going to be more expensive than just giving that product away. It's crazy to think about. This is a big problem. So, when we think about, like, how do we solve this problem, there's a number of questions that we have to ask. How do we overcome the challenge that returns presents to our business from an experience and from a logistics standpoint? Now, I said we're going to have a special guest today. I'm going to now bring on our special guest, Stephane Gagne, VP of Product at FarEye. Stefan, welcome. Thank you. You're going to help us answer this big question that retailers are asking themselves. So happy to have you here. Please, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks. Hi, Judd. Thanks for having me over. Stephane Gagne VP Products. I've been at FarEye for just a little bit over 10 months now. And in terms of background, before that, as you mentioned, I was on the buy side. I used to run a 3PL company in Canada in the big and bulky. We used to deliver across Canada big appliances, big furniture. So for me, the complexity of returns is not just a theoretical discussion. I really lived it firsthand, both from an execution perspective as well as a technological perspective. So happy to be here and happy to share whatever I've learned along the way with you.
Well, I love the idea that you have this dual perspective, how you've had to deal with this problem from a problem situation, like how does this impact my business? And now that you get to look at it from a solution standpoint, like how can we help you impact your business in a positive way by solving this problem? And I think, the problem in a sense is returns, right? The increased number of returns and the increased costs of those returns. Before we can kind of get into the cost side of things and the logistics piece of it, I think the number one question that I was leading us to is, tell us from your perspective, why does somebody return something in the first place? What's the root?
Well, there's many reasons. First of all is, I would say, a lack of understanding of the product. So basically, they think they want that product, but contrary to be in store, you cannot take it in your hand, touch it, feel it, and so on and so forth. So you order the right product, but it's when it gets to your home, it's not up to your expectation, or it's no longer needed. And I think when you get, and then after that, sometimes it's really you order the right product, right? But it's wrong execution. What I mean by that, it's missing parts, broken, package damage, or things like that. So you say, hey, it's broken, I can't use it, it's not working, you send it back. And then it's the right product, but it's the wrong spec. Let's say you ordered a t-shirt, or you ordered a TV, and you ordered a 50-inch, but what arrived was a 30-inch. Oops. Then it's really about fulfillment. Those are the obvious. Like, I'm not telling you something that you don't know there, but what we're seeing is two emerging behavior that the retailers have. It's a bit newer, and it's ramping up in terms of propagation. The first one is what we call wardrobing, and basically is people leveraging a return period or return policy to actually order something, use it for the return period, and send it back before the expiry date. And when I see the news, and when I listen to the news that you shared, I'm getting worried because, retailers are aggressively discounting early. They're extending their Christmas return period. Walmart just announced that they're going like north of 120 days, starting October 1st, I think, to January 31st. So theoretically, someone can order something on October 1st, and they can return it at the end of January. No question asked, right? So people maliciously will use that, and it's turning out to be an increasing phenomenon that is costly to retailer. And the last one is coined bracketing. And bracketing, what it is basically using your home as your trial rooms, or so basically people say, hey, I like that product, but I don't know what size will fit me, and I don't know what color will be best on me. So they order 3, 4, 5 different color and size. They try and they select the one that they want, and they return the remainders at no cost, right? So, and that's been accelerated. That was almost non-existent 2-3 years ago, but with COVID and beyond, it's become a way of shopping online, if you ask me.
These are interesting factors in returns. I think the first few that you mentioned are really, it's almost like a best practice thing, right? Like, hey, don't send the wrong TV size. Make sure all the parts are in the box. Get the product right. Get the delivery there on time. It's all best practice. And even the idea of a consumer maybe not understanding what exactly they're buying. Get the education piece right. Like, help the consumer buy the right product. Like, those things to me feel like best practice. The bracketing and the wardrobe, those are interesting because they feel like behaviors, like self-inflicted wounds that retailers are creating by allowing these behaviors. And some of that just may be through, maybe it's necessity in a way, or maybe it's a strategic play, like Walmart saying, hey, look, we're going to open up the returns early. We want to get into people's wallets early. Once we have their dollars and we can float them around from a returns process or maybe an exchange, we've got them, right? So maybe almost in a way, like, it's like a lost leader attitude. We know we're going to take a hit up front, but we're going to allow all these other things to happen so we can capture their wallet, capture their attention. I think the wardrobing, the bracketing thing are very interesting because what it says is we're giving more power to the consumer in thinking about like the flexibility that they get, but ultimately like it's great for them, but we've got to take the pain on. How sustainable is that? The one that really makes me laugh is the bracketing, because if you think about like, what you really have to do as a consumer, or what you used to have to do, is if you wanted to try on a dress, right, and you didn't know what size or what color, you have to go in the store. You have to go in the store and you have to try things on. You have to go to the fitting room. Somebody says, are you okay in there? And I was like, no, I need a size 4. And so then, you're doing all of that in the store, but now you're bringing the store home and you're doing that in the comfort of your own house. And then you're just boxing it up and then you're sending it back. That's a wild
Judd, Judd, I'm going to stretch this thing even further. At FarEye, we're serving client, and it's always in retail, same thing as in marketing. You're always A/B testing, and you want to optimize. And sometimes what is starting as a problem becomes an opportunity. Returns. So for some, it's a problem. Some retailers see it as opportunity. Well, bracketing. There's some retailer, especially in the high-end space, that are using this as an opportunity. I'll give you an example. I can't name the retailer, but what they're doing is they're building their own fleet of drivers that will actually drive to someone's homes with different colors and different models, hand that over to the person, and wait outside for half an hour, 45 minutes, while he or she tries the different options. And then through a text, be informed in their car that the person has finished their home-based wardrobing, and then pick up the things that are not kept and charge for those that are kept by the home consumer.
See, that is amazing, because in a way, what's happening is, then you're saying is some retailers are looking at this as an opportunity to extend their business model or create a more differentiated offering, because I'm betting that service comes with a bit of a premium fee, call it a weight fee, or whatever it is that they put on the invoice. But this is interesting, because then you're saying, hey, this behavior that we're creating can almost become a service, and we might be able to charge for it. So it's interesting to see, how a retailer may be thinking about the delivery experience itself. And you're almost, maybe that's a new term. Maybe that's just called showrooming, right? Where you bring the showroom home.
Showhoming.
I like it. Okay.
And Judd, like these guys, you're right. And as much as retailer have optimized over years, should delivery be free above $35, above $50, or above $100? The same thing with showhoming is that we're talking about a ticket price or average basket price of north of $750 to $1,000. Wow. Where this service comes in as inclusive of the delivery.
You're kind of making me rethink some of the conversation here, because in my mind I'm thinking, hey, what are things that we can do as retailers to prevent returns? Because the costliness of it. But you're saying, hey, wait a minute, returns actually could be a strategic advantage. I just find that concept interesting. I don't know how much time we have to dig into that, but go ahead, please.
No, it is a strategic advantage, and you just have to take it, own it, and look at the different variables or lever that you can impact on to design a return process or a return offering that is in line with your market expectation, client expectation, and profitability expectation. It's something for many businesses that people think of, the dust on the ground that you want to throw under the carpet. You think it's going to go away, but it never does. You have to own it and really attack the different levers that will truly impact and have you control the return process and make it a business advantage and not the other way around.
Well, let me. Okay, so that's a really good point. Now, the question I was going to ask you was, what are the top X number of things that a retailer can do to reduce returns? Let me pose that a different way to you. What are the top 3-5 things that a retailer should do to maximize returns?
It's good. I was just about to say this. Minimize is one way to coin it. Optimize return is the best approach, I would say. And of course, the first thing that some retailers fail to do is to tag a return rate to each product and systematically monitor this the same way you look at the volume and you're forecasting your volume on something. Every so regularly, you have to look at your list of product and look at the return rate. Very hard for a merchandiser to anticipate what is it going to return, what's not. But as you market them and you see consumer behavior, online consumer behavior toward that product, you have to decide if it's a fit for your return level acceptance or not, and basically remove it and move on to another one that has lesser propensity to be returned. The other thing is really about the execution. So reducing return, this is your logistics supply chain part where, picking, packing, and at the end of the day, also your carrier selection. You cannot go just for the cheapest guy around that has you a 2x return level compared to the other one that is 5-10% higher. So when you're selecting your carrier, or when you are selecting a carrier allocation technology, don't have that technology solve only for price, but have them be multivariable and include the return level dimension as a criteria that you use for allocation. And then right product, wrong spec. Again, it's about on your website having useful shopping tools like style guides, size guides, and all these things that really help the consumer make the best possible decision in terms of the product. Also, like it's commonplace, but high resolution and good zooming solutions, so you really see the product that you're selecting before you're pressing the you move it to your basket. And then when it comes to the two topics that we spoke about wardrobing and bracketing, or try before you buy, you really have to have a streamline return process where you ask the question, why are you returning? And you look at the time of return. If you start to see behavior where exactly a week before the expiry of your return policy, you know that you're witnessing some customer doing wardrobing. And then after that, it's about really inspection process. Has the bag been open? Has the ticket been removed? Has the product been worn excessively? So that it's been used. So, but all of these things, Judd, they're costly and they're reverse process that are fairly complicated. So again, you have to understand the problem, and be able to move toward it.
There's a lot. There are a lot of great insights there. I think one of the ones that stood out to me is, when you think about wardrobing or bracketing, going back to those trends that are happening, it feels like this is where understanding the data behind all of your different orders, all of your different deliveries can really come into play. Because if you're able to model what a shopping behavior, a shopping cart behavior looks like, a purchase behavior, so like you say, when a customer is wardrobing or a customer is bracketing, like you might be able to anticipate that, right? You might be able to model that into your entire, shopping experience, so to speak. So exactly. You can either accommodate that, prevent it, whatever it is your preference. But I think understanding your data is an interesting play here to be able to think about those trends.
Totally. I'll speak to you in CMO terms. Yeah. It's not just about understanding the API flow, it's understanding the on-API flow and optimize against those.
Yeah. Very interesting. I think that's something for us to dig into in a future discussion. We're about 5-6 minutes out from the end of the show. We have a question from the audience. I want to make sure we hit it. So Stefan, we're going to put you on the spot on this one. The question is, how has click and collect impacted bracketing, and can this support consolidated returns?
How does there's a lot of buzzword there. How does click and collect has impacted bracketing, and what's the end of the question?
Can that support consolidated returns?
Can that support consolidated return? So I'm going to define the three. Okay. So we spoke about bracketing, which is basically people trying before they buy. Okay. Yeah. Click and collect is buy online, right, and pick up in store. Okay. And then we're talking about consolidated returns. Okay. So we know what bracketing is. Click and collect is really the notion of showing someone willing to save time or money, because with delivery sometimes it's next day or the day after, while if you know that 2 kilometers away from your place you can go in and pick up in store. Also, it's about saving money, because some company will say, IKEA is a good example. We're going to charge you if we deliver to your home, but if you come and pick it up, it's free, right? So they'll want their price point sensitive, and they'll come to stores. And if you apply the same logic of the click and collect free to your return policy and say, hey, I'm going to charge you for your return if you want to put it in the reverse mail process, but if you come to my store and drop it, I won't charge you anything. Then this will encourage, I would say, return and collect, which means you decide to return and you walk to the store to drop it. And if you encourage that behavior, then you're by ripple effect encouraging all the notion of bulk efficient return, because all of your return can be accumulated in a store and then move toward a distribution center for liquidating, refurbishing, repurposing, recycling, or disposing. Does that make sense? Was I good with the long answer?
I think that kind of hit on what the question was all about. What I got out of that too was thinking about creating opportunities for efficiency again in the offering itself. It's so important to anticipate, maybe using data or maybe using historical. It's just important to anticipate the behaviors and the actions that may result and try to build those efficiencies in early on. I think that it just goes to show, it just speaks to how complicated delivery logistics are, how complicated reverse logistics are, and the need to be able to have a true strategy at the outset. And, sure, you can test, you can throw things out there, but a true understanding of the customer, a true understanding of the market, and then a real strategy to accommodate both of those, right? Or drive both of those. I think that's something that I've really picked up on here today.
You're totally spot on, Judd. And the last point that I would add to your list is, social responsibility and environmental responsibility around climate change. It's not because we do last mile the way we do today and return the way we do on a per parcel basis that it's going to make sense in 5 years. And it's not going to be a transportation limitation. It's just the impact that it has on the environment. And I think the retailer that start more and more to play that card to build consciousness and put a little green leaf and say, hey, if you drop it to the store, you're going to save so many tons of carbons, or you earn so many carbon credits because you're doing the right thing, as opposed to just dropping it at your doorstep and enabling a very carbon intensive return process through trucks.
Yeah, it's another very important variable, I think, in the entire delivery return process experience. And Stefan, I think that it's a good note for us to transition to kind of end of the show in a sense. First of all, I want to thank you for being here. I found this conversation extremely insightful. I feel like we could have gone on for another half hour. Thanks for bringing your expertise from a buy side and the supplier side to this conversation. I think people really got a lot out of it today. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You had sent me 4 questions and we just found the time to go over the first one. So
you did a great job.
More material for next time.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do it again. All right. So now, just as we end the show, I want to talk about the last word for last mile this week. And to be honest, I was thinking about something a little bit different, but in the course of the conversation with Stefan, what really stands out to me is experience. If you're a retailer, especially now and you're thinking about the holiday season, and you're trying to design a shopping experience that is friendly, it's accommodating, it's convenient, it's advantageous. There is so much that goes into designing a customer-facing experience, from a understanding your data point of view, building efficiency into your logistics process ahead of time, understanding the financial impact of the deal that you may be promoting and the back-end return activity that may happen, right? That experience is what's going to keep people coming back and keeping them happy, you need to make sure that it's financially sound and efficient for you. Okay, so think about experience as you enter the holiday selling season. Think about returns, and think about joining us again next month, last Thursday of every month, special delivery with FarEye. And thank you to Let's Talk Supply Chain, our fantastic sponsor.